John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing a really popular broadhead that I've gotten a lot of requests for to test, and that is the G5 Striker X. Thanks to a viewer who donated this pack to me, I'm able to put him to the test today. And I just want to say thank you so much to all the different viewers who've been so generous to donate a pack. And then everybody benefits from getting the information and the specs and the data points that my tests provide for that head. So they're really doing a service to the whole community, and thank you for that. Now, if you want me to test a specific head that I've not tested already, man, please consider sending me a pack like that. You can send me a message on Instagram or on Facebook, both Lusk Archery Adventures, and I'd be happy to give you my address, and you can just mail me one pack of heads, and then I'll put them to the test. Now, if you're wondering if I've tested a certain head or not, you can just go to YouTube and go to the search bar and type in the name of the broadhead and then Lusk. And if I've tested it, it'll come up. Or you can just go to my channel and look at the playlists, and I have a whole big old playlist of all the different broadheads that I've tested, so that you can go through it that way as well. So let's zoom on in here and check out the G5 Striker X. Oh, and I do want to add too, if you're not familiar with my testing process, you can read about it in the description box below this video, because I just go through it and explain why I do, and what all the different ratings and so forth mean. And then at the end of every video, I post a score sheet and I give it the Lusk grade based on 0 to 10 golden arrows. So that kind of makes it fun, and it gives you consistent data points to compare one broadhead to the next. So let's zoom on in and check out the G5 Striker X. Here's the Striker X, and as you can see, it's a pretty cool looking head. It's all steel construction, steel ferrule, steel tip, and steel blades, replaceable blades. By my measurements, the blades are 0.035 inches thick. I couldn't find a listing for that anywhere, but based on some of their other heads and by my measurements on my micrometer, it's 0.035 inches thick. You notice that they're fairly vented. Okay, that's going to make them probably a little bit loud in flight, which doesn't really bother me in a broadhead. The arrow noise doesn't really bother me. I've never seen that be an issue in hunting situations, but it's pretty vented, and that's going to be a bit of a concern on durability, how well those blades are going to handle a hard impact. Now, the tip is a really stout, all steel, like I said, chiseled tip. It's not as sharp as some chisel tips, like the Grim Reapers are super sharp. QAD Exodus is really sharp. This has just got a decent edge to it, but not really sharp. It's got a dimple that begins like a scoop, begins at the back of the tip and then goes down the ferrule. That's going to aid in penetration as well as in flight, makes it a bit more streamlined and aerodynamic. So I'm really eager to put this head to the test. As always, I'm using my Bowtech SR6 set at 72 pounds and Bishop FOC King Arrows at 460 grains. Let's see how the Striker X performs. $125. It penetrated 6 at 1/4 inches. $200. It penetrated through 38 layers. Here's the head after being shot into the steel plate 5 times. And it was on the 5th shot that this one blade broke off there. So it actually held together through 4 shots through the steel plate. The blades are pretty vented, and so that's where that weakness comes from. To make the weight of having 4 blades, they have to be relatively thin and relatively vented. But again, they held together through 4 shots. And the tip got a little bit blunted there, but actually held together very well. It's in definitely good enough shape to sharpen out and use again. The blades experienced quite a bit of edge chatter, and that was actually after the first shot. You could see a bit of edge chatter, and then it just increased with each one. So these blades are not reusable. You'd have to file away way too much in order to use those. But it held together better than some, not as well as others. Still spins true. So the ferrule didn't bend or anything. That's that all steel construction. Here you can see the wound channel in the steel plate, and you can see that square hole in the middle and then the 4 slits coming off of it. Now, there's other 4-blade broadheads that make a better square hole than this. This is more of like the hole within the slits rather than a bigger square. So it's a decent wound channel, but there are other broadheads that make a better wound channel with the same cutting diameter. Here's the head after impacting the concrete. Spins extremely well. The only damage you can see is that the tip got a little bit rolled over, a little bit curled there and blunted on the end. The edges of the tip, they got blunted as well, but they held up well. And the structural integrity of the head is just fantastic. And hey, how about a shout out to these Bishop FAD Eliminator arrows? I mean, how many times have I shot this one arrow into concrete? I think today I did it like 7 times, and that's in addition to all the others before it. The only problem I've ever had is sometimes the insert backs out and I need to re-epoxy it in. And these arrows are just impressive, as is the durability of this Striker X in the 0 penetration test. So what do you think of the Striker X? You know, it performed pretty much as I expected. It was just pretty average, to be honest. Now, the cut size is above average, the sharpness was above average, and the way it held up to that 0 penetration test in the concrete was above average. But the blade durability, the edge retention through the steel plate, the penetration, those things were about average or below average, honestly. If you compare this head to, say, a Tooth of the Arrow XL or the Black Widow HPV, which is a replaceable blade head, not quite as big of a cut, but almost. Man, that thing penetrated through, man, like 60-something layers of cardboard compared to 38. And it penetrated in penetration test 1 like 1.25 inches deeper. And the blades look brand new after going through the steel plate. So if you compare it to some other similar heads on the market, it just doesn't stack up. So I say it's a decent choice. It's a good average head, and it'll get the job done. If you're a big fan, more power to you. But I think there's better choices out there.